Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zekko Football channel. It's no secret that Jadon Sancho has not had the best of times since arriving at Manchester United. And he definitely has not shown the form that he previously had when he was at Borussia Dortmund. There are many reasons as to why this could happen, but one of them is down to the position that he currently plays. You see, the Premier League has different requirements to the Bundesliga, and therefore, I think needs a different approach. Enter Erik ten Hag. In a bid to get more attacking threat out of his current crop of players, Erik ten Hag has deployed Jadon Sancho in a different role. It's in this newfound position that I think Sancho could show off his talent, flair and establish himself in the Premier League. And that is where today's video comes in. Today we are discussing the future of Jadon Sancho. If you are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video and turn on notifications. But now, let's discuss the future of Jadon Sancho. I think we tend to forget how old Jadon Sancho actually is, or to the point, how young he is. He's only 23 and it feels like he's been around for quite some time. Obviously he had a lot of luck out in Germany playing for Borussia Dortmund, and his move to Manchester United, while it did materialise in the end, just doesn't seem to have worked out for him and his career has somewhat stagnated. However, I believe that Erik ten Hag has found a new role for Sancho and a way to get him into this Manchester United side and get him playing back to his best. When we think about Sancho, we think about him generally being a winger, but actually, when he played for Borussia Dortmund, what he actually capitalised on a lot of was the counter-attacking ability and the space that was left in certain pockets to allow him to drive into towards the middle of the pitch and either set up players with his creativity or be able to score a goal himself. And he's unable to do that out on this left-hand side or out on this right-hand side. Now, this is partially because of the intensity of the Premier League and the amount of closing down that generally happens, but it's also down to his lack of pace and lack of physicality. The Premier League is a faster and stronger league, and it means that Sancho has found it difficult to try and beat players 1v1. While he's good with the ball at his feet, I just don't think he has that blistering pace to be able to give himself a yard, and while he can get away, he generally is swarmed around more often than not. So he needs to be in a position where he's far more elusive, he's better utilised, and he's able to turn around and then get his head up, picking out passes for players who are going to be making runs for him, and at the same time using some kind of physicality to be able to bring others into play. And what Erik ten Hag has come up with is this. It's a false nine. He's not going to be a striker, he does not have the physicality for that, but he can bring others into play. Manchester United with Andre Onana in goal next season are going to be wanting to try and build out from the back. The pace is going to be set from the pass out from the back from Onana through the defence. A press from the opposition is going to be up against this back four, so it's going to be crucial that Manchester United play their way through the lines, and this is the first option that I think Jadon Sancho really can show himself in. We know that they want to play a three-man midfield with Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount as two main central attacking midfielders. Now obviously this can change and perhaps they have a double pivot at some point. However, with Jadon Sancho in the side, I believe he can drop back that little bit deeper to be part of this three-man midfield. This gives them extra bodies in the midfield, of course, it gives them overloads, but it also gives them a chance to be able to play through the lines. If we think about one of Jadon Sancho's major attributes is the fact that he's able to operate in tight spaces, but if he's able to drop further into the midfield and then drive back up, I think you're starting to unlock some of his creativity and some of his ability on the ball. We know he's very good at driving, we know he's very good at passing, so if he's able to get his head up, play some 1-2s with some of his teammates, if he drops deeper from a false 9 position, I believe that he's going to be able to get this Manchester United side generally further up the pitch faster. And if we think about the fact that Manchester United don't want to play these long passes anymore, that's why David De Gea has been left out of the side, because he cannot play accurate passes. We can also assume that Sancho is able to drop it a little bit deeper. If he drops that a little bit deeper, he just allows these two central attacking midfielders to come forwards that little bit more, and that means that running beyond is something that he doesn't necessarily need to do, but he still has the ability to do it himself when he wants to. He's really the decoy run for a lot of these players to be driving forwards, and it means that he can bring the wingers into play once he starts to pick up those pockets of space. It's also another creative outlet. When we think about when players and teams go forwards now, it generally splits the team in half, so that you have 5 defensive players and you have 5 attacking players. And it means that when Sancho drops that little bit deeper, he allows the players to go forwards and just creates that little bit of extra space, an extra midfielder, if you will, to be able to go forwards. Now, there is always the question of goals and goal contributions and making sure that he is consistent, because he will need to start scoring goals if he's going to be a false nine. However, if you think more of the Roberto Firmino role, dropping into pockets of space, perhaps operating on the edges of the box and the penalty area, allowing runs from either Marcus Rashford or Antony to go into the box and then laying off those passes, I think that could be somewhere that Sancho really excels. It also means that you're not fully reliant on the likes of Bruno Fernandes or Mason Mount to be picking up those areas. It's just another set of creative legs to be able to get Manchester United into further goal scoring positions. Erik ten Hag is very good at making sure that his striker is able to utilise himself in different scenarios, but what also it gives is rotation. The rotation between Sancho and the fact that he's able to operate on this right hand side or left hand side means that if Antony ever wanted to drift inside, Sancho could pick up these positions. And he could do exactly the same out on this left hand side. We know that Marcus Rashford likes to drift inside, and a link up and just a relationship with Sancho would mean that they are able to swap positions and allow Marcus to drift inside more often than not, without the imbalance of the team becoming an issue. And when we think about Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount in these two central attacking midfield positions, Sancho can go and fill in one of those roles as well. We know that Mason Mount likes to press. Sancho can do exactly the same thing, and all of a sudden you have 5 players that are willing to press a very, very high line. Christian Eriksen, for all of his quality, is not necessarily able to be able to press as well as he used to, and it means that the likes of Antony is able to go, Marcus Rashford is able to go, followed up by Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes, but it can be initiated by Jadon Sancho. Sancho has a very good engine on him, and I think if he gets a little bit fitter, which is shown in pre-season, I think he's going to be able to make those runs more often than not. It also allows for an extra central defensive midfielder in terms of Casemiro, or perhaps even a Kobe Mainoo, depending on how Erik ten Hag views him. It means that they have more of a defensive setup and less reliance on the way that they want to go forwards, with the central defensive midfielder needing to back up play. Jadon Sancho links up play very well, and he's very good in tight spaces, and we know this. But what's extremely important is the way that he's going to be able to develop relationships with the attacking players in this pitch. And it also means that generally Manchester United have a different option. Yes, they wouldn't want to go and get another striker, but if it doesn't work and they need something a little bit cuter, a little bit finer, Sancho, I believe, could adapt his game to a certain position and allow himself and other players to really come into play. He's not an out-and-out winger, and I don't think he ever really has been. It was just a position that Borussia Dortmund found themselves in because they needed creativity off one of the flanks. But I think Sancho is so much more than that. And I believe in the season that's going to come up, I believe we're going to see Sancho out in these central roles more often than not. Perhaps even taking up positions like a central attacking midfielder, or even as a false nine, bringing others into play, but also making sure that he's able to lift his head up and bring his forward-thinking players closer to goal. Jadon Sancho is one to watch for next season, I believe, in this new role, and I believe next season you're going to see a whole new Jadon Sancho. And that's it for today. Please let me know your thoughts on Jadon Sancho and his new position in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.